The trade deadline is just about a week and a half away, and the Minnesota Vikings have some decisions to make. We've talked about, possibly Kirk Cousins getting traded. That might not happen, probably won't happen because he won't waive his no-trade clause. Danielle Hunter could get traded, KJ Osborne, Ezra Cleveland. There's a lot of people that could get traded from our Minnesota Vikings, but one thing we should look at, or consider taking a look at, is trading for Derrick Henry, and that is because, per NFL rumors on Twitter, the Tennessee Titans are expected to explore trade options for Derrick Henry at the trade deadline. Now, the trade deadline is October 31st. I'm sure it's at like 3 p.m. Central Time if I had to assume, but I think the Vikings need to take a look at Derrick Henry. Our run game hasn't been up to par this entire season, and some of that is on the offensive line, not creating the holes and stuff like that. But also some of it is just maybe Alexander Mattison isn't a franchise running back. Maybe he just doesn't have, the juice that we thought he was going to have this season. And I'm not saying that Derrick Henry does, because Derrick Henry, I think, is having one of his, worst seasons, or one of his, not so great of a season at this point. The Titans are rolling with Tajay Spears more than they're rolling with Derrick Henry. And Derrick hasn't, jumped off the pages, so to say, this year. Now, he has been banged up from injuries throughout his past and stuff like that. But if we look at his stats, his best game was against Cincinnati at home, where he had 122 rushing yards, a touchdown. I believe he also threw a touchdown pass. I'm not sure if it was that game or a different game. But I think Derrick Henry would be a game changer for the Minnesota Vikings, right? I know we have a lot of running backs in our backfield with Alexander Mattison, Cam Akers, Ty Chandler, Kene Nwangwu, who just got activated back to the 53-man roster. So we have a lot of running backs, but that doesn't mean we can't part ways with one of them by the trade deadline. We could look to move on from Cam Akers. We could look to move on from Ty Chandler, even though I would hate to see Ty Chandler go, because I think he still has something in him. I just, for some reason, I feel like he could be a really good running back in this league. But if we want to start winning more ball games, we have to get the run game going. And I think that starts with maybe looking at potentially trading for Derrick Henry. Even though he hasn't done much, who knows? Maybe he comes over to the Minnesota Vikings and lights it up. And we have plenty of trade capital to give the Tennessee Titans. We could look at trading Danielle Hunter there, which I would hate, especially now that Marcus Davenport has been added to the injured reserve list, going to be out 4 weeks. So we have DJ Wanham and Danielle Hunter. Who's the backup after Danielle Hunter? Patrick Jones the second. So it'd be DJ Wanham and Patrick Jones. I'm not so sure I would like that. But we could also look at maybe moving on from KJ Osborne, giving the Titans another weapon on the outside that, Ryan Tannehill or Malik Willis or Will Levis could, sling the rock to. I think that could be a potential trade option. Also, we could, give away some of our trade capital. Keep that first rounder. Okay, maybe trade a second round pick, a third round pick, KJ Osborne, whatever the case may be. Get this done. I think our run game would be much better off with Derrick Henry in that backfield, because even though he seems to have lost a step. I'm saying seems to, because I don't think he has. I think he just hasn't got the right opportunity to get going, get that motor, moving and grooving and stuff like that. So I think we can get this done. We need to take a look at it. Let's get our running game going, because sometimes, time management, right? You keep the ball in your hands for as long as possible. You're most likely going to win the ball game, and I think we can do that with Derrick Henry, especially when there's still a little bit of hope left this season where we could make the playoffs or something like that, even though I know a lot of you want to, tank for Caleb Williams or Drake May or whatever the case may be, but Derrick Henry on the Vikings would be sweet, and I'm all for it. We just have to take a look at it, and if there's a right trade that we could process, I'd say, hey, pull the trigger and let's get Derrick Henry on the Minnesota Vikings. It could be a game-changing, a season-changing trade for the Minnesota Vikings. You guys can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think the Vikings should trade for Derrick Henry? If so, what do we give up? Let me know in that comment section. Also, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of your night, folks, and Skol Vikes.